Thank you everybody for joining me today on Krista So Crafty. My name is Krista. Today we're going to make another variation on the oven hand towel. So here I have my towel, I have an oven mitt, and I have a button. These are all, the other thing you're going to need to make this project, of course, is your sewing machine and some scissors. So let's get started. I'm going to set these to the side for a moment. What you want to do is to take your towel and find the center. Okay. Find the center, and then we're just going to put a pin right here to mark where that center is. We want to know where the halfway point is on our towel, and we're going to do this on both sides. Oops, get it in there. Okay, so now I have a pin marking the middle of my towel. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this towel and I'm going to open it up, and we're just going to put some pleats in here. We want to be able to make the towel wide enough that it'll fit across the center of here. Okay? So let's just, and I'm not measuring, I'm just going to kind of wing it. I'm going to just kind of grab it and go. If that doesn't work for you, you can definitely, measure it out and whatnot. But I just want to make sure that there's the same amount of material and pleats on this towel. And then what I'm using the lines that I have on my towel. Can you see that? To make sure that they're all lined up to try to keep things as straight as possible. And it helps to keep everything folded nice and neat, just like so. And I'm going to take my little oven mitt here. Now my oven mitt has, like I said, you can measure and to make sure that everything is dead center. I'm not too overly concerned about this. My big concern is that when I fold this over, that I'm sewing this into the center. And for me, that's right in the middle of these two right here. So I'm just making sure that everything is lined up based on these lines, like so. Moving it out just a little bit. I'm going to double check that it's going to fit and there's not going to be a whole bunch hanging over. So I'm just going to move that out just a hair. And I think I'm okay with this. I think I will be okay with that. And again, I'm just going to pop a pin in here. So again, we want to make sure we're on the center of our towel. So I'm going to put a pin across this way on both sides to hold these pieces nice and straight so they don't move around. Just like that, because that is our center. I'm just going to make sure. Yes, that is our center. Set that aside, and now I'm going to take this, and like I said, I'm going to put the pleated part on the inside. So I'm going to fold it like this, and I'm going to find the center of my oven mitt. Just like this. When I find it, I'm going to pop a pin in there, turn it over and find it the center on the other side. Like so. Now I have my center. What I like to do is to put at least one pin in here so I know approximately where the center is. Now my pattern seems to go in a bit of a tilt, so that's going to make my eye go crooked. So I'm going to put the pin right about in there. Again, if you want to measure it, by all means, you could draw a line across there. Okay, so there's my center line right there. I'm going to bring this towel back over. I'm going to take and lay this down. Actually, I'm going to put two more pins in here, right in the center, but on the edge of each side of the towel, just so that I can now line up these ones with that. And you know what I did? I put my pin on the wrong side because I want that face down right now. So I'm going to take that pin out. I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to find my center and put that mark. You don't want to be doing that because you don't want to be running over your pin. So now I can take and line up these pins with the pins on the edge of the towel. Okay, get it nice and laid out straight, just like that. And now we'll take this pin, we'll go through all of this, the towel and the oven mitt. So it's going to hold it in place. We'll do the same thing on this side, just like that. We're ready to sew. So I still left my center pin in here so I know where to sew. And yeah, we're ready to go. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to change my stitch length to a 3. Okay, so I'm at a 3, and I'm going to take and I'm going to line up my needle and my presser foot with this pin that I put in the center of the fabric here. Again, like I said, if you want, you could draw a line there and just follow along. You're not really going to see that line because you're going to stitch right on it. So, all right, I'll see if I can zoom in a little bit closer so you can see what I'm doing. I'll try to keep my hand out of the way. Just got to get everything lined up here. I want to make sure everything is nice and flat, okay? And we're going to do a back stitch at the beginning and the end, and you want to make sure you take out your pins. You do not want to sew over those, okay? So I'm just going to double check. Yes, I did take out those. No, I didn't. See? Look it. I left those pins in there. So when I get to them, I'm going to reach underneath of here. And you cannot see that. I have my pins in there still. So when I get to close to where those are, I'm going to stop, lift up my oven mitt thing, pull this out, and then continue sewing. Okay. Okay, so those are right about there. So I'm just going to be mindful of where those pins are. And remember, you're going through a lot of layers. So I've got 3 layers because the towel is folded. I've got 3 layers of the oven mitt. So that's 6 layers that we're going through. So just go slow. It's not a race, okay? And don't pull on it. I'm not pulling with this hand. I'm just helping to guide it. So I'm going to reach underneath and take that pin out. And move this back just a little bit. Continue to sew. So now I'm pretty confident with where I'm going. I'm going to take the center pin out. So now that the center pin is out, I'm just going to continue sewing and still be mindful of where this pin is underneath here. So it's right there. So I'm just going to continue sewing straight. And I'm getting close to where that pin is, so I'm going to pull it out. Nothing worse than hitting a pin with your needle. And I'm just going to pull, allow the machine to continue to work and pull this through, making sure everything stays nice and straight. Take this pin out so it's not in the way. And I'm going to do a back stitch. And that part is done. Just need to snip our little ends off here, make it nice and neat. And then up here. And now you can see that stitching line right down the center of the pot holder. And that will now be what's going to hold your towel. Okay? Just like that. And we have the nice pleats in there on both sides. So now all we have left to do is to sew on our button. So what I do is I take and I fold the oven mitt in half, and we need to find exactly where this is going to fold over so we know where to sew our button, okay? So I'm going to grab my button and I'm going to just place it on here where I believe the center is, And I'm going to make sure that this will be able to fold over, which as you can see it will, just like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sew my button right there. So I'm going to sew it just where the edge of the fabric meets the binding, and I'm going to sew that right there. Now you notice that I chose a button that has, if I can turn it properly here, there we go, a shank. What that does is it brings the button up off the material and gives the loop a little bit more room to grab. Okay, that's all. You can use just a button that has 2 holes or the 4 holes, whatever. So now I'm going to get ready and I'm going to sew the button on. So I have a needle and thread, and I do have a knot on the end of the thread. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in from the back. I'm just going to move my button out of the way so I don't drop it on the floor. And again, making sure, now if you want to put a pin in there and mark where your center is, by all means, go ahead and do that. Mine goes just on the other side of this little black dot thingy. So I'm just going to go in and out. And I like to run my needle through the thread so that it kind of creates like a little knot, so to speak, there. And then all I'm going to do is bring over my button and sew it on. Now this button is what is helping to hold your towel on your oven door, so you want to make sure that it's sewn on pretty good. Okay, and just sew on your button. So I'm just making sure that this is on here nice and snug. So sorry, I keep moving out of camera. I'm just trying to see what I'm doing here. Just making sure that this is going to be on here so that it's not going to fall off, because you don't want to do that, especially if you're giving this as a gift. You want to make sure that it's going to be nice and snug so that when the person receives it, they're able to use it right away and the button will be on there nice and snug. See? Just like that. Might go a few more. You know what? A few more just won't hurt. I'd rather it be too many than not enough. Okay, so once you feel secure that your button is on there and it's not going to fall off, what I like to do is tie a double knot. So I'm going to tie a knot there. I'm going to go through. Sorry, I moved it again. Bring up your needle and go through your loop. Okay, and I'm just going to do one more just because it's like that. And then what I like to do is I like to take my needle and bury it in between the layers of material. So what I'm doing is I'm just running my needle across here, but it's not showing on either side because it's in between those. Do that for a little bit and then poke it out through somewhere. And if you just pull on it and make it taut and then trim it, the thread is now buried in here, and that's a less likelihood that that thread is ever going to come undone, okay? Because it's also in through here. And that's it, my friends. We are done. Now all you need to do is fold over your little loop. And there you have it. There's some little threads. I'm just going to get rid of those. Like that. And there you have it. You have your hanging towel. Just like that. Isn't that nice? Doesn't that look nice? So I will take a picture and I will show you this. But there you go. I mean, this looks nice and neat. Our towel is all sewn on there. It's not going to come off. You're going to be able to have your towel hanging off your oven and be able to dry your hands on this. It's wonderful. And these make wonderful little gifts. A housewarming gift or a shower, wedding shower, bridal shower type gift. These work great in the trailer too. I love having these in my trailer because then the towels aren't falling off the oven door all the time. And yeah, I think they're very nice. So I hope you make some and I hope you enjoy making them. Thank you very much for watching and I will talk to you soon. Happy crafting!